Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out to us directly, tmosso@the1916company.com. So the original Tudor Black Bay Chrono was released years back, and it pioneered the partnership between Tudor and Breitling. So you have a Tudor package wrapped around a modified Breitling caliber B01, but the evolution of the species in 2021 introduced a more classical aesthetic. So the Tudor watch wrapped around that Breitling core now features an inverse Panda dial and a bund style strap. So we're looking at the Tudor Black Bay Chrono inverse Panda. 41 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. The watch is 50.4 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Because of the presence of the underslung bund strap, I measure the watch at 16.4 millimeters thick. If I were to remove the strap, just the case itself would be 14.6. We're going to throw it on my wrist now. Now, historically, the bund strap used by German servicemen, particularly in aviation, to protect their wrists from the transfer of extreme temperatures at altitude. Think extreme cold, extreme hot. That little buffer underslung protects your skin. So that's the point of the bund strap. On the wrist, it actually wears a whole lot better than you'd expect. You would think that it would cause it to wear larger, but I find that a NATO strap is more of an encumbrance. So while this does add height and thickness, it doesn't actually feel like it doesn't want to sit on my wrist. It's a very comfortable watch. It's a very cool and technical look. And in fact, the bund element of the strap is readily removable, which I'll show you in a moment. On the bund strap, I recommend this watch for a wrist my size. If you were to take the bund off and wear the strap conventionally, I would say I recommend the watch for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. So there's your cuff shot, there's your down the barrel, and there's your over the top, which always exaggerates the width. Over the top always makes the watch look broader than it is. Now, when I talk about easily removing the bund, this is how easily. It pulls right out. And then on the opposite side, you probably could pull it through that little loop, but I recommend dismounting the strap using a strap tool and then pulling the strap through, dismounting the bund backing, and wearing the watch conventionally. So this is convertible to include both the bund backing and the conventional strap. Now you can see a lovely suede on the reverse of the aviator style calfskin. We've got a lovely sort of suede here that is almost like a nubuck, but it's coarser than a nubuck. And you can see that there's a contrasting stitch, again, aviation style, a really nice look and a vintage nod. Just like the rest of the watch, it's vintage inspired, but very modern and fit finish materials. This feels like it's designed to last. We also have a full clasp. You can see that the clasp is in the shape of the more modern Tudor Shield logo. You pop open the clamshell that locks it closed, and now you can see it's a single fold in steel. Among other details worth noting, we have some little spring-loaded ceramic pin snap beads to maintain the tight and snappy tolerance of this clasp over time, as the metal cannot aggress against the pin snaps and wear them down. Taking a quick look at the case, very simple. Polished flanks, satin lug hoods, and then we have these little bevels, which are today mechanically applied, but they're a nod to the era when Rolex and Tudor shared cases, and back then bevels were always laid down by hand. Rolex has brought them back on some models, but Tudor was really on the forefront of reviving that style. Taking a quick look, we have the older pre-1968 Tudor Rose logo. That switched over to the Shield logo mid-1968. Screw-down crown, screw-down chronograph pushers, 200 meters water resistant. We have a little visible sleeve for the crown. It looks like it might not be screwed in, but in fact it is. We have a tachymeter scale, and this is used to gauge the speed of objects, generally moving very fast unless you use mental decimals. So you start the chrono, you stop it when the object passes the determined distance, usually, for example, a car or a aircraft over a kilometer. Start when it stops, or I should say start when it starts the kilometer, stop when it finishes the kilometer, and then you read the speed off the tachymeter. It is an anodized aluminum insert. We have a dramatically domed and cambered sapphire. It's designed to look a bit like a vintage plexi. There were two versions of this that came out in 2021. The Panda, which is a silver dial with black registers, and then this is the inverse Panda. This is actually my favorite. This is where you have silver registers on a black dial. Now, one element you wouldn't have seen on vintage Tudor watches is these applique indices. Historically, those would have been printed. This is a much more upscale aesthetic. We have a little nod to the snowflake style Tudor subs of the late 60s through early 70s in the design of the hour hand, then a lollipop style counterweight to the Chrono seconds hand, dished sub registers in silver. Note that one modification made as the Breitling B01 becomes the Tudor MT5813. It's this 45-minute chronograph register. The standard B01 has a 30-minute register, so Tudor does things just a little bit differently. There is stop seconds, there is a quick set date, vertical clutch. I'll do my best. I can only use the hand that's not gloved. But I will show you what the vertical clutch means in practical terms. The vertical clutch means you can start the chronograph, watch the seconds hand. See how there's no jump or leap or extraneous motion when I start the chronograph seconds hand? That's because a vertical clutch has no play in it, unlike a lateral clutch. Also, because there's no additional wear and tear when a vertical clutch meshes, you can leave it running on a full-time basis if you like to have center seconds go in full-time. Now, the watch also features a column wheel for super crisp action. I'm not going to show you too much the case back because it's a solid case back, but I'll give you a little glance right there. You can see Tudor, Geneva. It is not a manufacturer movement. It is a highly modified Breitling B01. So we've established quick set, hacking seconds, 45-minute register, crisp column wheel, efficient vertical clutch. What else do you need to know? Well, it's a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, adjusted in 5 positions and tested as a bare movement over 2 weeks to ascertain whether it meets the exacting standards of the official controllers of Swiss chronometers, the COSC. Beats weight at 4 Hertz, pivots on 41 joules, and it has a 70-hour power reserve. Now, some modifications that Tudor makes. Tudor replaces Breitling's mobile stud indices and Edelchron with a free-sprung architecture, much like you'd see on a Rolex watch. That makes it easier to adjust precisely and more resistant to shock. Now, another thing Tudor does is Tudor fits an anti-magnetic silicon hairspring to the movement, which is something Breitling does not do. Tudor, as part of the Rolex universe, has access to the licensing of that silicon technology. So the big changes are 45-minute chrono register, free-sprung balance, silicon hairspring. Important changes that do alter the functionality and durability. But ultimately, this is a watch that succeeds on its merits. It's just really cool looking, 200 meters water resistant, and you'll even see this automatic winder is well loomed, so it's got just about everything you need in a watch. Inside and out, it's a tour de force. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916 Company for purchase and pricing details.